Let's talk about this El Salvador jail that this working man, I believe his name is Kilmar Garcia, from Maryland, was deported there incorrectly, wrongly.
No, sir. Not deported.
Kidnapped?
Deported is a process, and the whole problem here is what we spoke about on the last time we spoke. The problem here is that they are circumventing the process. If you find proof that these people are really MS-13 gang members, and that proof is presented to a judge, and the judge says get them out of here, get them out of here. But to just grab them, deport them, well, I used the wrong word too, to rendition. That's the word. That's what we used to call it when people were getting grabbed after 9/11 and brought to Guantanamo. They were renditioned. But these people are being renditioned to a jail in a freaking fascist country that is, the leader of that country is doing everything he can to ingratiate himself with the United States.
Of course.
And if you look at what Bukele did down there, is what Trump's wet dream, and it's what he just did. Like, I don't like to be an alarmist, but by definition, this is a constitutional crisis.
I completely agree with you, and that's the reason why talking about this is so important, because there have already been errors in this space where they've already sent letters out. What they have right now is Joseph Mazzara is the acting general counsel for the Department of Homeland Security.
Okay.
And what's been happening now is they're sending emails out and other notices to asylum seekers based on I believe a policy that Biden had implemented that allowed migrants to like schedule appointments.
I forgot the name of the app, but they've changed the
it's
app.
A CPB1 app.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
So previously, the app allowed for people who were seeking asylum to set up interviews, submit paperwork, do things like that. Now they've reworked the app so that you can self-deport.
And it's a scary thing because there's now a lawyer that was up in Boston. Her name is, I believe her name is, hold on a second. I think it's Nicole Machorny. Yes. Nicole Machorny basically just received a notice from Homeland Security that her parole has been terminated and she should self-deport. And she's like, that's probably an error. She's like, yo, I'm a U.S. citizen.
Yeah, I was going to say, that doesn't sound like the name of a foreigner.
Yeah, so it's a scary thing because you got to put this in a context to say these errors can happen. And then we have already somebody that's already basically I call kidnapped. That's already been kidnapped and brought over there into that El Salvador prison. And to be quite frank with you,
did they say what kind of a lawyer this lady was?
No, I didn't see. I think she might have been an immigration lawyer.
Yeah, that's not a mistake. That's not a mistake. Did you hear what else Trump? Did you hear what else Trump said today? They caught him on a hot mic, but even in the interview while Bukele was there, he said that he would like to find a way to get some of our criminals sent down to El Salvador. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Specifically, he said American citizens.
Interesting. Now, that's where the conversation I was actually heading to, you already jumped on it, which is spot on, which is now you have to think to yourself like, okay, so you could do this to an American citizen already. You could already do these things to people and nobody's flipping out and outraged enough for them to back off. And this could happen now with anybody that's categorized as a dissident to Americas. Anybody who says anything, whether you're a citizen or not, you can get booted out and thrown to a so-called third world country. And this essentially is probably one of the more threatening and scary things that you got to really contemplate and think about because, man, ultimately, bro, he could just have you thrown out and your family does it because people don't know if this dude, Mr. Garcia, is even alive. No.
Heard
from him.
And the thing is that there's no way to figure that out because the person who runs that country he said when one of the reporters asked him if he was going to be sending the guy back, he goes, why would I try to smuggle a terrorist? They keep calling this guy a fucking terrorist too.
Yeah.
Which look, again, if he is, so be it. Send him out. But at least give the proof before you fucking deport people or rendition them or extradite them or whatever the fuck you call it. Show the proof first.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is why
if you had the proof, you would show it, and you shut everybody up.
Yeah, and this is why it's so dangerous because they're completely circumventing any legal proceedings whatsoever. And then now, I believe they were told by I forgot what judge, but a judge already said like, "Yo, this guy is supposed to be sent back. We need to get him back here because
we need to facilitate his return." They said,
"Yeah," and it's still is not going to occur. And again, this means that not only are they going to make mistakes with this, but also people that they categorize as like others in our society, they're going to go after them real quick. And this lady, Kristi Noem, I don't even care if I'm mispronouncing her name, I got to admit.
Kristi Noem?
Kristi Noem, the U.S. Homeland Security Secretary. She's scary. She's scary. Just think about the idea of her taking pictures in front of the jail cell of like, 100 dudes. I'm wondering because, but the thing that still is, that image aside, is like other images of her like holding like big rifles with scopes on them and all types of stuff.
Did you see the dude standing next to her?
Yeah.
All right. So trigger discipline, right? Trigger discipline means you keep your finger out from outside of the trigger guard unless you are ready to start shooting or you're ready to at least, brandish the weapon. Mm-hmm. She's standing next to the dude and you can see the guys on either side of her got their pointer finger extended over, not through the trigger guard, over the trigger guard. She's holding the barrel right at the dude's cheek. And you can see she's not even holding the gun correctly. She's holding it by like the clip and by the by the bottom of the trigger, not the trigger itself, the handle.
The handle, correct. Yeah.
And it's like, dude, this is I said it in one of the clips that I did. It's fucking cosplay. They're not really serious people. None of them. Yeah. You had the other chick. I'm not going to go too far, of course, but you had the ag secretary. The ag secretary, her fucking advice was to buy chickens. That was literally her advice. And then the shithead on fucking Fox, I think it was Maria Bartiromo, looked at her like she just imparted wisdom on the people. What are you going to do about egg prices? Oh, people should buy chickens. Really?
Yeah. What they're going to do from their standpoint, they're going to keep telling Americans to keep roughing it out and we'll get through it type of attitude. That's kind of the consensus that I've noticed. Meanwhile, they're going to live high off the hog. But the real deal, the real thing about the situation that's scary, like I said, is the concern for people being deported that were already citizens, and including American citizens that have lived here or been born here, and the fact that they could be just ripped from their homes and taken anywhere practically, and you just don't even know if your relative, your family member, friend is even alive.
It's a great way to stifle dissent.
Exactly.
If I know that going to a demonstration is going to run me the chance of getting arrested, and knowing that they're disappearing people, it hasn't, I don't want to say it hasn't happened yet, but we're not aware of that yet. But if that were to become a thing, bro, I wouldn't blame people for not going to protests. If you don't know, you never know if you're coming home safe. But if I know that there's a legit chance that I might end up in a foreign prison, I saw somebody post this, and again, I hate being a conspiracy theorist or an alarmist, but Auschwitz was not in Germany. Europe has a bloody, bloody history.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've told people that repeatedly. I keep telling people, like, there's one consistency about Western culture, European culture, white culture, is that aggression and violence are a consistent theme. And when they don't have anybody else to be aggressive towards, they do it towards each other. And that's the dangerous part, is where we have to avoid getting caught up in their battles. But at the same time, we still have to figure out ways to navigate and, like, kind of recalibrate what we're doing. Because right now, I understood there was the protest that happened last week, and there's a lot of people out there marching all over the major cities and things like that. But the concern that I had was, people said, well, not a lot of black people showed up, not a lot of non-white people showed up. And there were a lot of black people going, this is y'all fight. You guys put us in this goddamn situation. So you got to get on the street and do something. We've been telling you guys for a long time.
Look, I don't disagree with that. When I first started seeing videos of black people saying, like, when they started with all the deportation fears, there were black people on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, saying pretty much what you just said. This is y'all fight. Y'all voted for this. This is what y'all came out for. And at first it was a little bothersome to me, but I thought about it, and I feel the same way. Like I've told you before, bro, I got Cuban neighbors. If ICE comes knocking on their door, I don't drink beer. I've got beer back here. I'll go sit out there with a 6-pack and my lawn chair, and I'm going to play that fucking Trump salsa song that they played down in Miami. I'm going to play that shit.
Yo, dude, I'll tell you this, man.
They and I'm going to sound like such a fucking racist, but I'm Puerto Rican, so I can't be racist against my own Latino people. But they come from their countries where they don't know what democracy is, and then want to bring whatever they had there here. Not the communists in Cuba, the older Cubans, the exiles that the communist regime sent to the United States. They wanted to bring their fucking wannabe not monarchy, but wannabe European aristocracy here. Mm-hmm. Right? That's what they voted for. You've got, I just read today, Ecuador just elected a 38-year-old dude, and he's a right winger. That book you put me on to fucked me up, bro, because it's like, I look at it, like, yo, y'all are walking. Some of the most chest-beatenest motherfuckers are Latino. All extra fucking machismo and masculine, and y'all are okay with a fucking dictator.
Yeah.
Easier. Not because, because democracy is messy. Democracy is hard. It's something that needs to be maintained. Where you just take your marching orders from a fucking a totalitarian, right?
Yeah.
And that's what they look for. That's what they want. They want that fucking Pinochet style government.
I don't think that it's going to be a situation where, because I question democracy itself as well, because the idea of it sounds good, but I just the fact that it comes from Europe and sort of westernized philosophy, I already feel a little bit jaded towards it, and I have to question it still. I know that moving towards that direction will ease the pain rather than going towards dictatorship for a lot of poor and impoverished people. However, I don't think that could be the end all be all. And I'm not looking for like a utopia. I often have conversations with people and they're like, what you think is going to be utopia where everybody has free housing and like everybody gets free healthcare? And I'm just like, well, I don't think that's a utopia. I just think that's normal human right. I mean,
well, not just that. I don't know if we'll ever get to that point where, encompassing healthcare is a human right, but there should be some fucking basic standards, bro. Like you shouldn't have to go bankrupt because you broke a fucking leg.
Well, that's my point. Is that I don't see with the way that we're conditioned We're conditioned to not be able to see past the things that have been put in front of us by people from the West, by Europeans. We're conditioned to think that this is the only way of living, like money is the only thing. But in that process, I remember this comedian, he made a funny joke. He kept on saying, the stock market's crashing, the stock market's crashing. And then he goes, and then they turn the shit off at 4 o'clock. He's like, if it's, he said, if it's so crazy, why are we turning it off at 4 o'clock? Just turn the shit off.
It's the end of the world. It's the end of the world, but we'll pick up tomorrow at 9:30.
We'll pick up tomorrow at 9:30. Don't worry about it. We'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? Like, he had me crying, but he made an accurate, assessment, which is like, this is all made up and pretend.
It is, but it isn't. It's,
it's serious now.
I hear a lot of people run around saying, oh, the stock market doesn't affect me. That's not true. I mean, even if you don't have a single dollar in 401ks, in stocks, in bonds, in nothing, if you're not invested in shit but stuffing money under your mattress, it still affects you.
Yeah, it does.
Because that's where the prices are really decided.
Yeah, it does. There's the key thing that I'm trying to get across is that I just know that the direction that we're going, as far as like everybody's trying to become more aware and more conscious about things, I should say. I think that is going to play a role in our future, but I do think that there will be a distinction, much like we see in other societies. There, I think, will be groups of people that will be like, I don't care if it's GMO food. I don't care if this is a dictator. I don't care if I got to work 10 hours
we got those already.
a day. And that's my point. There's some people that are willing to take that. And then there are going to be people that are going to be like, nah, I'm going to go and build my own land, build my own house. I have my own property. I don't want anything handed to me from somebody else that they could possibly come back and take away from me. I think there's going to be a greater distinction with that. The same way that there are people that like allopathic medicine, and then there's some people that prefer holistic medicine. You know what I'm saying? I see that cultural shift manifesting more and more. And the problem that I'm saying with this immigration thing that's going on is that those people speaking about those things now and speaking about how corrupt the system is and how unequal it is, they're now already feeling the brunt of it, and they're sending a message. And much like Luigi Mangione, this dude is being tried as a terrorist. And it's like, wait a minute. The dude that shot up that South Carolina church, right?
Dylan
Roof.
Not a terrorist.
He actually killed somebody that was in office in that church. There was a black woman that was a senator in the church that he killed. And he didn't get tried as a terrorist. So you have to really process that and say to yourself, like, what are they telling you?
But if you firebomb a Tesla dealership,
oh yeah,
you're a terrorist.
20 years? That's what they're saying.
20 years isn't even what you would get for that level of arson.
Come on, bro. We all know that it's bullshit, and we have to call it out. And that's the thing about these spaces that we're in right now. Like, if we don't utilize some of the tools and some organizing against people being deported, like, for real, I know people because I work at, I go to a whatchamacallit again, a food, oh my gosh, I'm losing my train of thought on this one. Basically, they hand out free food. You know what I mean?
Food bank.
A food bank. Yeah, right? So basically, I go there and I help out, passing out the food and everything like that. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, what they do in the program, they bring people in that they know are not citizens and try to get them situated. They try to get their paperwork together. And I think it's a brilliant idea. And that's to me, that's the core of what needs to be done, is to try to build some kind of community where you're not just friendly with your coworker because you see your coworker every day. You're friendly with your neighbor and your neighbor's neighbor and X, Y, and Z down the block. Mm-hmm. Because when shit hits the fan, which it will, you're going to need those people, man. You know what I'm saying? You're going to need those people. You never know. You might end up with a friend. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
No. What you're talking about is community. And I think the type of community you're talking about is something that I've noticed over time is not distinctly European. Because
No.
even in Europe, when they found that, they stomped it out in favor of the monarchy, right? So even
Right.
because they had tribes in Gaul, which is now Germany and France, they had tribes all throughout there, up in the more Nordic parts of Europe. But the monarchy would come through, the various different monarchies, and either incorporate those tribes, use them as warriors, and eventually incorporate them, which was part of Rome's downfall, or just completely stomp them out of existence. And that's what they do everywhere they go, right?
Exactly. That's the dangerous part.
I had this guy on Twitter talking about black people need to go back to Africa because this is our land. And I'm like, well, if the black people need to go back to Africa, he had like a long Fardenstadt last name. I was like,
Oh.
shouldn't you go back to fucking Germany?
It sounds like it.
I mean, one, if we're gonna keep it 100, those black people, their lineage, their line of people have been here longer than your fucking line of people. Your people came across on a boat willingly in the last 200 years, probably.
Correct.
I've had that argument with a lot of people. If you're Irish, if you're Italian, if you're Polish, the chances are that your people have been here for less time than my people have been here. And I'm not talking about the ones that were born on the islands. I'm talking about the, 30-something% of me that came over on a slave ship.
Right. And I'll be honest with you, I don't want to make even distinctions on that. To me, a lot of what we do when we kind of like classify ourselves or even put ourselves in those situations against them, it bothers me to some degree because I hate the fact that I have to relate myself to them. Like, I'm on the opposite side of quote unquote people that classify themselves as white, and I have to move and function completely opposite of them in order to maintain some kind of humanity or dignity. It's a weird thing that I actually don't like, but I recognize that I have to do it because, yo, bruh, at the end of the day, we dealing with a crazy group of people, and let's not get it twisted like we're generalizing and talking about all white people. Just there's a good section of their community
As a movement.
Yeah.